What's going on today, YouTubers? Welcome to another edition of Walking Reviews. Today we're going to be taking a look at another front flipper, a custom knife this time, and this is by South African knife maker Gareth Bull. It is the Shamwari, the small version of the Shamwari. Very EDC friendly size. Just a great light duty carry here. Let's go ahead and jump into the specs though before I get too ahead of myself. We have a 2 3/4 inch blade of Bowler M390 in a classic drop point blade configuration. Very high, let's see if I can show it to you. There you go. Very high flat grind, very thin behind the edge. You can see the flats are mirror polished, and the bulk of the blade, which is that primary bevel, is hand rub satin finish. This has had a little use to it today, so it's a little bit dirty, so forgive me for that, but just a gorgeous blade. Really love it. I love the contrast between the mirror and the satin. There's Gareth's maker's mark. This is not the first Shamwari that I've owned, but this is a newer model, whereas the first one I owned was like one of his very first, and it was the larger size. This is leaps and bounds better than the original that I owned. Just incredibly well done. Handle length is 3 3/4 for an overall of 6.5. So like I said, extremely pocket friendly. Handles are obviously titanium, and they've been given a very fine, like a bead blast almost. It resembles the look and feel of a CRK, like a Sabenza type finish, but these handles are heavily contoured, as you can see there, nicely sculpted and rounded, so they are supremely comfortable in the hand. 3D milled titanium pocket clip that looks almost like it's part of the handle, but you can see there that it's nested inside of the titanium handle. Frame lock, we have anodized titanium over travel here to keep the lock bar from going too far. And on a knife of this size, I think sometimes over travel stops are used a little bit too much in the knife industry, but on a knife this size, you really do want to be careful not to over push the lock bar, and it would be kind of easy to do, being as the titanium handle scales are already not that thick, and then you add in obviously the cutout, and it would be, I think, kind of easy to overextend that lock bar, and then you've got a big process of bending it back in. So on a knife this size, I totally get the over travel stop. Open construction, aside from the one anodized standoff there, and super duper, you can't ask for much simpler construction. One body screw and then the pivot screw, and that is it. There's your blade stop, and this is what the South Africans call a lip flipper. To me, that is I think I already had that discussion in one of my original videos, but yeah, they call it lip flipper. I would say front flipper. It's at the front of the knife. So extremely clean look. You can't really get any cleaner than that. Very simple. Obviously the blue does a nice job of setting it off. From this side, you really have no color, which is the show side. But on the lock side and then the back, at least you have that blue to kind of pop a little bit. The jimping for deploying the knife is excellently done. Excellently. Yeah. It's excellent. That jimping is very well done, very well executed. Extremely fine jimping, but nice and sharp to grab your finger. Not sharp in the sense that you can feel it, but it does a very good job of grabbing your finger. There's your lockup, about 30%, maybe less, 25, and extremely easy lock release. There's no stick of any kind, so yeah, well done. Proper lock geometry. You don't need a steel lock bar insert if you have the lock geometry dialed in, and Gareth does a really good job with that. So the pivot screw, I mean, on a custom knife, you're almost accustomed to seeing really elaborate pivot screws, and here it is the opposite. It's extremely simple. It's just a Torx, very plain. You know, there's no real flash to this knife, and I can see an argument to be made, well, I just paid for a custom knife, why am I not getting any flash? Well, this doesn't cost brand new. These cost $500. I got mine for significantly less because I picked it up used. So I mean, you're paying that Sebenza price, and I think you're getting absolutely your worth. If you think that a Sebenza is worth the $375 or $4 whatever you pay for it, think of it. This is a custom knife. You know, it's been made by Gareth Bull himself, not machined. Obviously, he probably uses machines, but he does, you know, the blade and all that stuff. And you're not paying much more. And I think this is 100% every bit as, it's better than a Sebenza, in my opinion. This runs on caged bearings, so it's super duper smooth. Just a little shake and it shuts, and that's not easy to do with such a small blade that's got such a thin profile. You can see he rounded the spine. Ergonomically, it's not. You're not really gonna, if you have especially larger hands than I do. It's gonna be tough to get a full grip on there. I can just barely get a full grip on there, but this is the way you're going to be using the knife most of the time, either like this or like this. It's such a small EDC friendly size. I wouldn't think you would really try and use it for anything else. So yeah, well done by Gareth Bull. I love this latest iteration of the Shamwari. It has inspired me. I think I'm going to do another front flipper like contest. That's one of my first videos, was like a front flipper contest with the newest iteration of Trevor's front flipper. I'll put that up against this, and then I have like the Feist maybe might get in there. So alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. Short one today for a small knife. So stay tuned, I've got plenty more coming. Alright guys, take it easy.